What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Colin Thompson Show. I hope everyone had an awesome weekend. Jack in the back, the fearless Jack Connell is joining me today. New haircut, Jack. What are your thoughts?
Shorter. I mean, I don't know. I don't really. It seems like everybody in my area besides you and Mick were telling me to cut it. It
Yeah,
gets to
because
my.
we are grown men and we're married men. I think we kind of. I'm not saying we're perfect by any means, Jack. Definitely not. Especially if Mick had a rough weekend. We're going to get into that on the Sam Boner Show tomorrow, but. Longer hair, it's a good look, Jack. You look older, look more mature. Now you look like you're 20 years old again. With the longer hair, you look like you're like 26. So if that's what you're going for, to try to be younger, usually when people get like hit their 30s and 40s, they try to look younger, like me, Jack, 29. But I grow the hair out. I think it looks a good look. You still look tremendous, though, Jack. Great job.
Oh, thank you. I don't know. I'm indifferent one way or the other. I mean, it's less work with the shorter hair, so I mean that's a plus of it.
That's it. That's it. Well, again, guys, I appreciate everybody joining us here at the Colin Thompson Show, brought to you by Not For Long Media. Appreciate everyone's feedback on our new logo. We appreciate that. It's been awesome for us. We love it. Stay tuned for some gear coming out here soon. We're going to roll out about 100 hats. You'll be able to buy it on our website, notforlongmedia.com. You can find all our stuff on our website, all the other podcasts, all the other information. Again, notforlongmedia.com. Shout out to the original Fudge Kitchen. The GOAT, literally the GOAT was on the other day, hooking somebody up with some fudge. Bought a wish wrap for him too. It's just like this comfy, snuggy, typical situation. Boom, shipped out in like 24 hours. Not even that. I got an email 4 hours after I did it. Your order's been shipped. So awesome stuff. The original Fudge Kitchen, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. An awesome partner of ours here, all up and down the Jersey Shore, shipping across the country. But the people at the Jersey Shore know, like, this is the best saltwater taffy, fudge, creamy. Valentine's Day is coming up. Get somebody a birthday gift from there. Mix it up in the traditional flowers. It's good stuff from the original Fudge Kitchen, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. FudgeKitchen.com. All right, Jackie. We have one of my favorite people in football coming on the show today. Jordan Reed, tight end from the University of Florida, played the bulk, 90% of his career with at the time, Washington Redskins, now Commanders, and is an absolute stud. I talk a little bit to Jordan on the show about some of my favorite moments with him, but my favorite moment with him was just the time spent one-on-one. He was professional, funny, smart. He is. But when I was with him in Florida, when I was there in 2012, that's how we connected. And he was hurt for a little bit, and I was hurt for the year. I spent a lot of time when he was down, when in the training room with him, watching film with him. This is the guy who was like had 300 yards passing in a college football game against an SEC team, and then went out a couple of weeks later, moved to tight end, and kind of the rest is history. But people will know Jordan for a lot of the injuries he's had. He sustained a lot and played through a lot in college. A very physical, aggressive, tough athlete who is from Connecticut and went to Florida and had an amazing career there. And I just saw the person with the softest hands, the best routes. I still think at the time when he was in the league, he was the best route runner in the league, not just amongst tight ends, but amongst anybody. The guy was just different. And, if he's has a longer career, he's definitely a Commander's Ring of Honor guy. That's the type of guy he was, a perennial Pro Bowler every single year he would have been. But still had an awesome career. He was great on the show. He joined us somewhere there during, and I think it was Arlington, and joined us from like a back room. And there's a little bit of noise, so it'll be fine though. Jordan was great, a great guy and a great friend to join our show. So thanks for coming on, Jay Reed. Of course, Jack and I have plenty of banner to talk about before we get into the games. Jack, we're going to settle this, and I know this is not the Sam Boner Show, folks. I know it's not the Sam Boner Show. If you haven't listened to that yet and you follow my crazy reviews, check it out. By the way, and again, this is for the Sam Boner Show. Angelo's Pizza. It's the best cheesesteak on the planet. It's not even a debate. It's not even like this is an opinion segment. No, this is fact. That is ridiculous. And I went to John's Roast Pork, which people think is the best cheesesteak in the city. The new thing, that's a 10. Angelo's is a 10. John's Roast Pork is not even like a 9 out of 9 or 9.9. I said on the show is a 9.7. Now that my palate's right, it's like a 9.6. Angelo's is a 10, but I digress. Jackie Boy calls them boneless wings. And I'm out on it because they're either chicken nuggets or they're tenders. Okay. They did a thing with the Eagles. They went around the room, asked guys, boneless wings or bone-in wings. There's no such thing as bone. It's not a wing. It's a breast that's deep fried. So it's a tender. And that's fact. Jack, what is your ridiculous knowledge? Because Buffalo Wild Wings, shout out, no free shout outs, does endless boneless wings when they're really just endless chicken nuggets rolled around in your favorite sauce.
I think the main difference between a boneless wing, I guess, to say your point, I guess they are different from a wing, but I think that they're different from chicken nuggets in the fact that I feel like boneless wings have a lot more breading to them. Like, I don't know, like if you've had like a restaurant's had like a bone, like they seem like they're crunchier.
They're chicken fingers.
They're different sizes. Chicken fingers are like long, but they're bite-sized.
If you cut the chicken finger in half and bread it, it's the same thing. Just a piece of chicken breaded.
I get what you're saying. I mean, I get what and the whole thing stems from me saying that boneless wings have a purpose. They're not as good as bone-in wings. I just said they had a purpose for some things, and then it came to this whole side conversation of if they're even wings or not. It wasn't even a conversation. It was a statement emphasized several times by Colin.
Well, it's an interesting conversation. We'll save it for the Sam Boner show. Check that out, guys. Mick does an awesome job. We come out once a week. All our shows are not for long media. 5, 6, 7 shows, more to come. I didn't even tell Jack. This is what happens, Jack. I get out and about on the weekend, a couple of beers, talking to people. We got a couple of people joining the media company. Maybe some new shows, maybe some new guests. You don't even know, which is great. Jackie's my right-hand man. We talk about everything. We'll get into it later off the show. So fun stuff. Awesome weekend in football, though, Jackie, really. I mean, everyone's going to say the Eagles game wasn't what everybody wanted.
This weekend? There's an Eagles game this weekend?
Here we go. The dad humor that Jack Connell provides at 21 years old is very concerning. But it's good stuff, Jack. There was an Eagles game this weekend. Yes, the 3 o'clock game. There was a 6 o'clock game. It was a closer game. But a lot of crazy events happened in that Eagles game. I'll be honest. I really struggled. I didn't make a prediction publicly and privately. I really didn't either. Like I didn't know who was going to win. I think they're both the best 2 rosters in the NFL. Well coached, tough teams, star players. Obviously, it's in Philly, right? That's an awesome thing for the Eagles fans and the Eagles players. But that Niners team is for real, really for real. And the Eagles showed, that they're for real too. And a couple things bounced their way, not out of luck, but out of sure will, with some injuries that they created, against the Niners. And there you have it. Just a team and a fan base that just is rolling, absolutely rolling. And it's really hard for me, just being honest, because I've gotten really close with Christian McCaffrey. So to come on the show and, any of this could be like a social media clip or whatever, to like talk bad about one team has nothing to do with it. I wouldn't do it for any team, but like that Niners team is the truth. Like, and everybody knows it. So do Eagles fans. That's why I think it's such an impressive win now to the Eagles side. Like they just beat, I think they would be voted number 1 roster in the NFL, right? And they're on their 3rd and 4th string quarterback and they're still having success. And the Eagles Hassan Reddick. Could you say anything more about Hassan Reddick? And we are huge fans of Hassan on this show. The guy's an absolute stud. I don't think people really understand how good Hassan is. People are too. I see people on Twitter, chirping Coach Rule for not signing him in Carolina. You think they didn't want to sign him? But that contract, you can't do it. You can't sign everyone, guys. It's not college football now where you can have an unlimited paycheck and just write checks. You can't. Hassan's an absolute stud. He went and got paid. He's from Camden, New Jersey, right across the river from Philly. He's doing amazing things in the community. He's doing amazing things on the field. He's a great guy. He's a great teammate. He's an absolute warrior. And off the field, he's an absolute leader, like I was talking about later. And you could see what he does for that team. The guy is a playmaker. The guy's just solid. And all of a sudden, boom, knack for the big play. Absolute stud. So, I digress about the game. Really, I want to hear what Jack's thoughts were. But extremely impressed with an Eagles team that beat, my opinion, the best roster in the NFL with an amazing coaching staff too. So really, really impressed with what the Eagles had to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I guess, obviously, often, like we kind of mentioned, it was just a bummer that it didn't live up to the expectations just because of injuries. It's nobody could have foreseen it, nobody could have prevented it. It just, but it sucks that, I mean, because the one thing I said on Twitter, I don't think we really talked about, this game was probably the most like analyzed, statistically broken down over the last week that like I've ever seen. Like it was just people were pulling like every stat possible out of the woodwork. Eagles like 18th assistant down, like how they can help like analyze Brock Purdy because they coached with him at Iowa State. Like it was insane, and it just sucks. Injury, nobody could prevent it. There were freak accidents, and it just
Yeah, I think I'm bummed,
basically
like from an
ruined this
NFL
game.
fan's perspective,
Yeah,
because like you're saying, like because that's everybody knows how good the Niners is. Everybody knows how good the Eagles are. You're like, oh man, so it was really interesting. I think it was a really interesting game. Sorry. I just I just think it was a bummer from that perspective, but Jack, for the Eagles and their fans and the community, like I said on the show before, I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm an Eagles supporter. I'm a Niners supporter. But it's weird having friends on all these different teams and like where I'm from, and I didn't grow up a diehard Eagles fan. I grew up a supporter of the team, but it's amazing for the community. It's amazing for the Eagles bars all around the country. It's amazing for new businesses in the area. It's amazing for so many different things. The impact of Philly, the impact of the fans. I was telling people earlier, trying to explain it. I said, I think it's the best fans in the NFL. I'm not saying the best people because I know the videos are rough. I see them, but I think it's the best fans in the NFL. And here's why. You're talking generations of people from Philadelphia, not transplants, not this beautiful sunny, packed house in, say, Tampa, where a lot of people are transplants or wherever that may be. We're talking people from Philly. My great grandmother, my grandfather, he was off the boat from Italy, lived in Philly 120 years ago, whatever it was. Started like they've been in Philly for 120 years, my family has. So it is just a different deal. Mixing the elements, mixing how crazy the people are, the blue collar, the mix of the white collar, the mix of anybody for anything for that city. It makes the fans there's so much history and stories behind it. Yes, there's more stories, franchises that have fans that are loyal. Green Bay. But people in Green Bay are like letting you in your house to tailgate with you. And it's like this big, awesome kumbaya. And it's awesome. And I love that. It's very college football. It's very Ole Miss, Florida, Penn State. But the mix of the personalities, the mix of the chaos, if you will, mixed with the success of all the franchises really in the city, creates this product that's just unbelievable for social media to watch and unbelievable to play in if you're for the Eagles. So I digress, long-winded, but to me, it's not even close because of the area, how all the stadiums are right there in the same spot. It just breeds like this crazy environment, easy to get to, public transportation. Yeah. So I digress. I'm excited to see what the Eagles can do in the Super Bowl. Obviously, they're rocking and rolling. Their O-line looks ridiculous. Their D-line looks ridiculous. It's funny too, the Jalen Hurts stuff. It's great that he's finally getting his flowers. I've said on this show here before, and at least privately to Jack, I don't get why there's been so much hate for this guy preseason. Is he the franchise guy? They got all these first round picks, all this stuff. It's like this dude, everywhere he's been, has gotten better. Everywhere. This guy's improved. This guy's improved on every negative. He's a leader. He handles everything so well. Again, I've said on the show before, you see him squat 600 pounds. You think that's a mistake? You're not born like that. So my point is the guy's a warrior. I question the people that question him because every year he's gotten better and better and better and better and better. Match him with Coach Sirianni, the OC there, and kind of their personalities and the way they develop players and quarterbacks in the past. It's been a hell of an ingredient. Especially how he is with his feet too. He's a smart runner. He gets down. He does things. He avoids hits in a good way. So it's really fun to see. I mean, if they really just wanted to run him, they could run him in the Super Bowl they wanted, and he would just light it up with him, Gainwell, and Sanders. So I'm long-winded, but hot take. I think the Eagles team is really loaded.
I have a quick question for you in terms of maybe this is a game plan thing. Is this something that Micah Parsons kind of touched on social media? It's kind of been a topic around the tackles. So like when tackles are doing their pre-snap, they kind of bring up their right foot or their back foot. If they're the right tackle, be their right foot, left tackle, or left foot, bring it up like before the snap is called. Is there anything you want to break down on that? They said it's legal. Everybody kind of understands it's legal, but kind of the rationale behind that, since you're kind of very close to that.
You're saying he's kick setting.
I don't know if it's necessarily kicks. I think it's not really kick set. He's just getting like a quick head start before the snap. I don't think he's even dropped back into his kick step, the kick step even yet before that.
So he's getting into his kick set and pass protection. And what he's doing is he's timing up the snap count. So he's jumping the snap count. And everyone's like, well, what do you mean? The ball's not moved yet. If you stop it, freeze frame it, and go slow motion, you could tell that he's just a tick offsides. Blue 80, set hut. So at the end of set and right before hut, he's going. That's what's happening. And if it's a silent cadence, you see it a lot on the road with the away tackles. The center, if it's a one count snap on the road, it's up, down. When he's on his way up, he's going. So he's trying to jump it there too. It's not early enough where the refs are going to call it. It's kind of like an unwritten rule in football. None of the players, unless it's egregious, like you saw Zadarius Smith do it early in the year to somebody. I forget who they were playing in prime time. He did it. He kind of pointed like, oh, he was too early. So if it gets egregious, they'll tell tackles to slow down. But I think it's just them jumping the snap count. It's a great point. But, I mean, for Micah, he wants the advantage too, right? So that's the only reason why he said that. It's a good question, Jack. It's about time you asked me a question.
I try to do it once in a while once I have a good thing to say, which is usually I have a lot of good things to say. But
you don't ask me any questions, and then we don't ever get any good conversation. So, yeah, interesting stuff from the Eagles game. Obviously, the fans were just crazy. It's tremendous for the Philadelphia Eagles community. I'm bummed for the Niners team. I know everyone in Philly's like, what the? But I'm bummed for that team. And Stephen A. Smith was saying it today, too. I saw his clip. It was like a minute 30 talking about it. He's like, I'm just bummed for football. It's not the Niners' fault. It's the Eagles went out and did it and made it that way. They won the street fight, knocked out their, two most important fighters in the quarterback position. And, it was awesome for Philly. Bummer for the Niners. That's a great team. It's going to be around for a really long time. They're built the right way. I digress. Jackie, if anybody's going to a game, SeatGeek, promo code Colin Thompson, COLINTHOMPSON, promo code Colin Thompson, $20 off your order, $50 or more. Get Som Sleep, the best sleep product on the market, period. Put you to sleep, keep you asleep, rise and kick ass the next day. Get Som Sleep, promo code Colin, COLIN, for 10% off your order of a case. Ooh, I love the sugar-free Som Sleep. It's money. Check them out. Shout out to our friends, Actions Over Words Apparel. Awesome product, local business, donating just a little bit at a time to the charity of their choice out of the t-shirt sales, the clothing sales, the sticker sales. They're donating to our camp in Key West. So I'm excited about that too. We can talk about the camp too before we wrap up here, Jack. But I want to talk about the other game. Bengals Chiefs. I thought it was funny. They made it out to be this whole underdog thing. Like everyone, I get it. And Joe Burrow, and they lost a couple games to the Bengals, but that Chiefs team is unbelievable. I'm bummed I didn't pull the stat up, but a buddy of mine who's in the scouting departments in the NFL just talks about how well the Chiefs do. Everybody talks about New England has done it, building success for years, with or without Tom Brady, still successful franchise. Look what the Chiefs have done. I mean, from literally Alex Smith through whatever, Mahomes probably played 6 years now?
Yeah, he's last year, their first Super Bowl was about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think he had a year starting under his belt before that, and he was a backup a year before that. So yeah, about 6 years sounds right.
Yeah, and that team is, I know he's unbelievable, don't get me wrong, but think about the rosters they've had, the players they've had, the supporting cast they had, and they still have it while paying him a ton of money. So shout out to their franchise. Shout out to the Bengals franchise. I mean, what they've done to turn things around, it's been really impressive to watch. And they're in a division there that's really tough with Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and with Baltimore. We played all those teams this year, so I get to see it firsthand, the preparation, how things are different. Coaches talk about it differently. So to get through that, get to where they have the last 2 years, really impressive what they have too. Their rosters are great. It's just going to be the whole thing now where they're at of, can you continue to pay all these guys? You have to draft well. You see these guys from the Chief, like this guy's a rookie here, this guy's a rookie there. And that's kind of what the Tyreek Hill situation was like, what do we do? Do we go all in? Do we get draft picks? So obviously a great player in himself. So great game, down to the wire, exactly what you expected. You know, everyone's getting on. Is it Osai?
I think they say so. Say
Everyone's getting Osai for pushing Patrick Mahomes out of bounds, and I get it. That's a penalty, right? He knows it. Everybody knows it. He's trained on it. Every coach, D-line coach, head coach brings up how you got to treat the quarterbacks now, especially the good ones, not just the good ones, the ones that are the money drivers, the big guys, Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, right? Certain guys, is this a little bit different? So it's tough, but I don't think, there's 5 or 6 big plays a game that stand out, that change the game here and there. But you could also argue that the ball on the kickoff return was brought out to the 45-yard line. Most of the times it's on the 20, 25-yard line, right? That's a 20-yard swing, 30-yard swing in some cases, where you could say, hey, listen, if that ball's pinned back there and then he gets that penalty, okay, fine. They're on the 50-yard line. He's kicking a 65-yarder. So I think there's always more to the story. If you really look back and peel back, you can do that in football all the time and retrace and say, well, what about this, and this? Because it's such a team game, it's such a team sport. So, I'll address that. And then also, one of the players was yelling and was upset at him for doing it, walking in the locker room. That happens all the time. And that's part of a team. And I'm sure they're friends, and I'm sure it's tough, but it's an emotional, and his career could be over. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that happens frequently. Even to tight teams, people are pissed because you invest so much into it. It's the end of the year. You've been going literally since April. So it's tough. It's emotional. I just hate that a camera's there. I'll be honest with you. Like, I get it. We're media here. We're sitting here, but like, they're going into the locker room. Why is there a camera there? Like, let the guys be a little bit like football players too, instead of entertainment every once in a while. That's how I feel about things sometimes. Yes, give access, do all that stuff, pays bills. It helps the salary cap, pays my bills, helps people watch more media stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that, like, great. The media guy caught it. Good for you. I get why you're doing your job. But I don't know. You feel that way, Jack, sometimes with stuff? I feel like sometimes it's like, all right, can we just let people be players? Some days I know it's a kid's game. I know we get paid, but it's like, man, sometimes it's like too much coverage,
Yeah, I mean, getting in there's sometimes I think there's just a camera will catch things on the sideline and blow things out of proportion, like you talk about. And I think one of the best examples, and it's just so misconstrued over the years, was Jeff Saturday and Peyton Manning. Like, from like an NFL, from a player's perspective, it's like, all right, 2 teammates, it's fine. Like, they're just communicating. To a casual person who might not watch football or something, they think they're pissed at each other, they hate each other, they can't operate. And then you see context, these guys played whatever, like 10, 11 years together, probably the best center quarterback duo of all time. So it's definitely, I think, things that taking out of context when you allow those mics and things across wherever, locker room, sidelines, etc.
It's not normal work, folks. And normal work's amazing. 9 to 5, I get all that. And whatever. I'm not even saying normal work. This is a separate entity. Professional, not even professional sports. Professional football, gladiator sport. People are like losing limbs. The Damar Hamlin situation, concussions, spinal injury. It's a different thing. It's your life. You're literally feeding your table based off of your physical human performance, and you can't control it, because if somebody falls down and doesn't do their job or whatever and rolls on your ankle and your season's over, your career could be over. So there's a lot of tension building with coaches and players. It's a long season long. There's always fights, verbal, very, very few physical. The tussling, the throwing, the grabbing, like, that's just a part of it, and it's fun. But at the end of the day, it's not personal. And I think when it gets personal, it's too far. But, somebody needs to be a big boy, big girl, and have a conversation. But when it's out of passion, it's a part of the game. And I think that's where I get, like, these guys just played a crazy game. They lost by 3 points on a 45-yard field goal when they felt at the time they could have had the game in hand. He's one of the premier players on their team. He may be up for a contract. They may have told him already, we're not going to re-sign him. I don't know that answer, but I know there's always more to it. So it's good. Give your opinions on it. You can tell me I'm an idiot, whatever it may be, but I just think sometimes there's too much exposure.
On a side note, related to the roughing the passer penalty, do you think there needs to be a change in sort of the verbiage of the rules, or a different rule with the quarterbacks? I don't know if you noticed recently, like, they kind of, Mahomes, Hurts, they very much straddle like the sideline and kind of hopes for getting a bait into a call like that. Not necessarily all the time. Like I don't think Mahomes is baiting it on this time, but I mean there have been instances where a player will just run down the sideline and waiting for that last second to step out, and a player can't really slow down, and it results in that.
Well, I think that's a great point. I think there's so much gray area there, and I don't think it happens enough for someone to be like, "Hey, we got to change this rule." Like in soccer, when a guy flops and they're like, "Hey, that's a yellow card on you for flopping too much," or something like that. They do it, in hockey, where if a guy draws the penalty too much, he gets 2 minutes too. They'll both get 2 minutes. So I don't think so, Jack. I think there's enough rules in this league, and they're trying to make less and less, but also keep it entertaining and keep players safe. So, yeah, that's a good question. But, I don't know how it's going to shake out. I want to talk about C-Mac's run. How about that run? It was ridiculous. Hurdle a guy, make a couple people miss, lean on somebody, break a couple tackles, and then you see how he goes 0 to 100 like that, hits the gas. What an absolute stud. What absolute unit. Friend of the show, and a great guy, a warrior, great leader, great person, great friend, but and a heck of a run against a heck of a defense in Philly, Jack. What were your thoughts?
I mean, I'll share a shameless plug here. We were talking about on today's Ross Tucker football podcast. Ross said it. He said Ross was on the sideline for Westwood One doing the broadcast, and he straight up said that's the best run, or probably the best touchdown run he's ever seen in his life. I mean, off the top of my head, the only one I can really, 2 runs I think can even contest it is Marshawn Lynch's beast mode run against the Saints, and then Derrick Henry's like 99-yard against the Jaguars or the Jets or whoever that was. Those are the only 2 that really come off the top of my head.
It's a great discussion. I'll always say it. He's the best player in the NFL. When we traded him in Carolina, obviously tough day for everyone. I don't think, nobody wants to see him go, including the people that had to pull the trigger on the trade, right? Like that's one of the best players in the NFL. I think he's the best player in the NFL. I really do. I think he's the best at what he does. He's ridiculous. So he had 2 years of injuries, not even. And he's like an injury-prone guy. And he's like think about it this way. If he's like a 12 to 14-year player and you have 2 years you miss, like that's not a thing. If I missed 2 years, I played 7 years, like, it's still not a thing, really. It's like reality. It's just football. We don't play badminton. No disrespect to badminton players. But it's different. People are going to be, you see how he gets hit? No matter how big you are, Derrick Henry, it doesn't feel good. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm a fan of the team, but I'm excited to see what the Eagles do. Chiefs, Bengals, we're going to be talking about this for the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to be getting predictions and all that, but just a lot of really good stuff. We talked to C-Mac, we talked about Hassan. That's really it for me, Jack. Jordan Reed's excited. Exciting to have on. Do you have any Jordan Reed memories? Maybe Washington versus the Eagles?
Not really Washington Eagles. I just remember a couple years having him in fantasy football and being my tight end 1 flex guy. That's really about the extent. Because he was like 2014, 20. So it was like when I was like in middle school. So I'm not necessarily, I just remember he kind of would be, the Eagles linebackers for the longest time were not very good. I mean, like we had Jordan Hicks, and that was like our best guy for like a decade. And Jordan Hicks is a great player, but I mean, I can't even, between Jeremiah Trotter and now TJ Edwards, like I really couldn't name any other really good linebackers in the next band. And I just remember he would torch them. That's probably about the only thing I remember is Jordan.
He's torching everybody. He's got to have a lockdown corner on him. Probably it's like Darrelle Revis is like the only guy. Honestly, this was different. I mean, this is like, well, I don't know. I'm just so impressed by him. An absolute just freak of nature. Yeah, he was great in Washington, and then he went to the Niners. They brought him out there after like played a year. I think he had like 1 touchdown. I remember watching it. So, yeah, good for him. So yeah, send it over to Jordan Reed. We have another episode coming out this week on Thursday. So lots of really good stuff going on here. 2 episodes a week, Jackie boy. Just pumping material out. Who we have coming out on Thursday, Jack?
We have D Mount on Thursday.
The Montrez Mount, former NFL player, Titans, Denver, and then we met in your XFL with your Tampa Bay Vipers. So he was great. We did like an hour. I mean, just killer. So we're going to be pumping a bunch of content out with him. He's a beast. So Jordan, D Mount. Guys, hope you guys enjoy the show with Jordan. He was great. And then again, follow our stuff, what we got going here. Not for Long Media. We'll have some prizes, some different things going on Super Bowl weekend as well. Maybe a couple of giveaways, Jack. Maybe give away a hat or 2. We'll see. Again, thank you for your support. Thank you to our team here at Not for Long Media, Jack, and everyone in the back who make it happen. So That's Jack Connell. I'm Colin Thompson. I hope you guys enjoy the Jordan Reed episode. All right. We got Jay Reed in the building tonight. Jay Reed, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Can't complain.
It is great to see you, bro. Last time I saw you was probably your pro day, 2013.
That's a minute, bro.
That's a minute. That's the last time. I remember watching you no gloves, no quarterback. And I was like, yo, this guy's wilding. Joey threw you the ball. Joey Galeotto is equipment guy for Atlanta now. You remember that? You didn't have a quarterback on your pro day.
You got a great memory, dog.
Bro, I'll never forget it. I'm like, this guy's different.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it.
How you been, man?
I've been good, man. Life is good. My daughters are well, and family's good, so can't complain.
That's great, man. How many daughters do you have now? 2?
I have 3 daughters.
3? Get you, man. Would you trade it? Would you trade it for a boy, or you want a boy, or what?
I'm still I ain't out the game yet, man. Hopefully I have a chance someday.
That's great. And you're in Virginia now. You live in Virginia?
Yep, Northern VA.
Now, is that a thing you like it up there because you kind of settled there as a player, or is that just kind of a place you kind of call home now?
Yeah, I've been out here so long, man. It's been 10 years now. Drafted by the Redskins, so the facility is right here, so it's home, man, and great place to raise a family. My kids are great schools and all kind of activities for my girls, man. So it's good for us.
That's great, man. That's great. Yeah, there's a lot to dive into. I always tell people when we talk, I bring you up all the time. I'm like, that's the best route runner and the best hands I've seen on anybody in my entire life. And I got to be with you right away, man. I was crazy every day. I'm like, you would just be in the meetings with your hands like that. I'm like, this guy is nuts. And then you go out in the field and you just dunk on people. Where did that come from? Like, because everyone says, like I always said, like Jordan kind of had a basketball player's spirit when he ran routes. Like he was always in balance. He always was able to bounce around. Like, do you think it's basketball based?
Yeah, definitely. The route running is definitely from the basketball stuff, but hand-eye coordination came from a mixture of basketball and playing baseball as a kid. Quarterback too, man. You handling the football so much. You know what I mean? You get used to it. You get the feel of it. So early on, I was strictly quarterback. So
in high school in Connecticut, you were?
Yep.
Were you the best? You had to be the best guy on the team, right?
I mean, we had some ballers. My freshman year, definitely not. My brother was the best player on the team. Sophomore year, Dom Griffin was the best player on the team. And then Richie Vitale was one of the best guys. And then, as probably senior year, I was definitely the best for sure.
Yeah, UConn Connecticut has good football. Like they
sleep on it, man. They sleep on us out there.
It is. There's a couple guys, there's always a couple guys every year that get plucked out of there, right? They don't go to UConn, but they get plucked out. Your brother was a baller, man. I remember you talked about him before. Did he play in the league? I think he did.
He played 5 years.
Yeah, man.
He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. He's a champion, man. All around. He won 3 state championships in high school. He won a championship. He beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl with Utah. Yeah. And they got named national championships a couple years later and then won the Super Bowl, man. So I
remember you telling me he broke a bunch of records of somebody that was big time. Who was that? I forget.
Steve Smith.
He
broke Steve Smith's receiving records at Utah.
Bro, that's tough, man. That's tough. So, yeah, there's a lot to digest. At Florida, man, there's so much to digest there. You got recruited by Urban. You were a part of that old staff. You were playing quarterback. You got moved to tight end. But go back to the recruitment days, man. What was that like? A lot of schools talking to you?
I had about 16 offers. I was I remember Dan Mullen coming out to see me in Connecticut, and he told me I had the quickest release in the nation, man. That's what sold me right there. That's all I need to hear. After he told me that, I was all right, I'm in.
Where do I sign? Who else was like down to like your top 5? That's what back in our day, we had like top 5. These kids now have like top 40s.
Yeah, it's crazy. I would say Florida, Oregon, Tennessee, Duke, and I think Rutgers was up there.
And was it all for quarterback? Did anybody offer you in other positions?
Nah, I didn't play any other position, man. High school was strictly quarterback. I didn't really start running until like senior year.
And then
Before that, I was like a pro style quarterback.
they had you under center, man, just dropping back. And then somebody probably was like, can we just put this guy in the shotgun and let him eat a little bit?
Yeah, senior year, my high school coach let me run around a little bit. I was bigger and ready to go.
That's great, man. That's great, bro. So when did you transition to tight end in Florida?
I started transitioning freshman year. I remember training camp. Herb wasn't really feeling me when I first came in, man. He wasn't really feeling me. I was kind of out of shape because I injured my foot senior year halfway through the season, so I had to stop playing, and I got to Florida a little out of shape. So I wasn't the best looking, you know what I mean, as a quarterback.
You've never been though.
Yeah, I've never been. But so he was giving me a hard time, and then we had a scrimmage one day after practice where all the young guys stayed back, all the freshmen and sophomores scrimmaged. And I balled out, man. I showed him how athletic I was and showed him I could play and I was tough. And after that, he said, we possibly could, start using you this year. Tebow's the guy, obviously, so you're not gonna play quarterback, but we think you can help us out. So it didn't work out like that. I ended up just being the scout team quarterback, and then sitting in the tight end meeting room with Chico Hernandez. And that's where I learned my style of play, watching him every day in practice and watching film with him, running routes with him. And that's where it all started.
I remember you got hurt before LSU. Yep. The infamous, I'm not going to say what happened, but the infamous injury.
Which one?
When you the scooter.
Oh, the scooter? Damn, what happened on the scooter? I forgot about this.
Bro, I remember all this shit. So I was only there a year and I had to leave. So 2 years. So you came down. I'll never forget this. We were playing LSU. This is when we were like really good. That your last year, really good. And you went up to get food at the Chomp or whatever, and you came back down on the scooter and you rolled your ankle. Remember how bad your ankle was?
Yeah, I remember having that messed up ankle. I played in that LSU game too.
You played. I remember
that was an injury from the scooter. I thought that was in a game.
No, that was from a scooter. So This is great. This is good. That's why I'm here. This is what happens when you're a freshman and you're hurt and you just sit around all time. That's what I did and just chat. I just talked. I was like a country club member, and I would just sit there and train. And I remember you came in and you're like, I fell off my locker or whatever.
Made up some bullshit.
And then you were good to go. You hopped on the whatever. You played in that game and you balled out. You had like three, 4 catches. Your ankle was all taped up.
Yeah, I remember that game.
That team was a
fall game. We won.
We won close. That was like crazy. And we ran the ball a ton too. I was like
Gillisley was toting it.
He was, man. That team, that was like Odell's years, and
that was Matt Elam. He had that play on the sideline, right?
Yeah, you hawked that guy down and ripped the ball out.
That was Odell. He stripped.
Yeah.
That was
that Florida team, I always tell people, was like the best assembled team that never win anything.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. Nasty. Yeah, that's a fact. We had the number one. After my freshman year, we had the number 1 recruiting class in the nation. That was your class?
We were number 2 in 2012.
Okay.
So we were like Dante Fowler, Bullard, Humphreys, and then a bunch of Adam Morrison. Yeah, so we had a bunch of guys in there. Yeah, it was good times. All right, so let's go back to Gainesville though, because there's a lot to unpack there. I don't even know where to start because there's just some good times. I love me some Gainesville. I had a good time there, man. It was.
Get back often?
I don't get back often. I was planning to go this off season. When's the last time you were there?
2012, man.
2013 for that pro day.
Yep. Like the last time.
Yeah, man. It's tough to get back there. We'll transition to the league because honestly, there's tons to unpack there too. So like, how did the whole draft process go for you? Like you were combine, all that stuff. How'd that go?
I mean, I was injured, man. That was the story of the story of my career, having some injuries and stuff. But during the combine, I missed that bowl game versus Louisville. I had a
Yep.
bone bruise that I was battling. So I had to. I couldn't finish the game there, and then it didn't go away. So during that off season, getting ready for the combine, I had the bruise lingering. So I didn't end up running the 40. I didn't do some of the drills and stuff like that. I just caught balls like you saw. You saw I caught those passes. I was stationary, so I didn't really do much during the combine. Bench press, I only hit the bench press like 18 times, which was all right for me.
That's good.
Yeah, it was all right. But that was it, man. I didn't really get to show, what I had during that combine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. Now, during the combine, like, are they like asking you millions of questions? Like, how's that go?
Yeah, it was a ton of questions. I met with a couple teams. The Dolphins were funny, man, because before going out, before declaring for the draft, I remember having a meeting with them, and they graded me as like a seventh rounder, and told me I should stay in school and I shouldn't go and stuff like that. So they were one of my first interviews when I did declare, and they're like just grilling me hard. Like, we told you to stay in school. Why didn't you listen to us? We heard you dealing with cannabis and stuff like that. Like, you're not ready. Blah blah blah. It was kind of one of those kind of deals. And then draft day, they called me up. They talked to my business manager at the time and were like, we're gonna pick him with the next 2 picks, right? And the next 2 picks, we probably gonna pick him. So I'm like, damn, I'm about to go to Miami. And then they didn't pick me. And then the next pick, Redskins scooped me up. I'm glad they didn't pick me, man. That was a lot of negative energy coming from.
So they were giving you shit about weed.
Yep, talking about weed.
Isn't it crazy though how it's changed? Like, because weed back when we were playing, like, it was crazy, bro. Like in college, they weren't messing with it. Like,
Nah, not at all.
I mean, now it's so lackadaisical, especially in the league. I mean, I would say what, 80% of the league on a consistent basis?
Probably 90%.
90%, right?
85, 90.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I mean, guys gotta, it's an alternative way to treat pain, man.
no doubt.
Opioids. It's better than opioids for sure.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. You've gotten to that business a little bit off the field, right?
Yep.
We'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I started investing in 2017. And then, as my career went on, I tried to apply for license and stuff like that. And I invested into some CBD beverage lines and stuff like that. So I've been advocating for it, man. I believe that, with some more research and, just the right understanding about how to use it correctly. I mean, it could definitely have some medicinal benefits.
All right, let's go back. I want to jump back to Florida real quick and then hit the NFL stuff. Florida, you played with some ridiculous players. I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah.
I remember getting recruited there and being like, first of all, the reason why I went there, I was like, they only have one tight end. This Jordan Reed guy, he's never blocked anybody.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And, it never worked out for me. I had a bunch of injuries. I had to leave. But long story short, I remember being like, look at all these freaking ballers, man. Who were some of the best guys you play with that you just were like, yo, these guys are different?
I would definitely say Carlos Dunlap, he's still a beast.
Yep.
Brandon Spikes, Hernandez, Tebow, Joe Hayden.
Pouncies.
The Pouncies. Jelani Jenkins was nasty. Matt Elam was one of the best, hardest guys I ever had to go against.
Easily
was a freak of nature.
Unbelievable.
Sharif Floyd, beast. Yep. Gillisley. Jeff Driscoll was nasty.
Jacoby
Brissett. Debo, the Bows.
Yeah, Andre.
Yeah, we had a bunch of talented guys, man. For sure.
We did. Even the kicker, man, Caleb Sturgis was money.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, O-line wise, like, we were bad. We had every one of those guys in the league. John Harrison, Jalapillo, DJ Humphreys, Trenton Brown, like, all those dudes are in the league. And we just couldn't put it together, which is just crazy.
We had that year we were nasty. I think we were at one point we were number 1 in the nation, right?
I think Bama was. That was the year that, and then Notre Dame was 2. We were 3.
Yeah. But,
That was the Monte Teo year.
Yeah. And I fumbled versus Georgia. That was a big one. But I mean, I was going for it, man. We were down by 9. And shit, I had an opportunity. I tried to take it, man.
I remember it. Put in perspective, though, and everyone say it would be a low point for Jordan. At least Jordan was playing. I was in the stands, hammered, because I didn't travel. So
how was that experience, bro?
Florida, Georgia?
Yeah.
It was wild.
Man.
It was wild. Yeah. So we once they're like, hey, you're not traveling to the game. I'm like, all right, well, what are we doing? So McGriff, remember McGriff? I know you do. McGriff, Skylar Morningweg, who else? A couple of freshmen. We had just had a good time, man. We just went out and they just said, hey, you can do what you want. You can go to the game if you want. Here's tickets. So we all got tickets. And I shouldn't say I was hammered. I hate to say that. But I had a couple beers, had a good time.
You were feeling good, man.
I was feeling good, man. I was doing me. It was everything was good, man. Everything was good. Yeah, Florida was different, bro.
Where'd you go from Florida?
I went to Temple.
Okay, yep, I remember.
So I was at Temple.
Adazio, right?
Yeah. Sorry?
You were with Adazio?
No, I was with Matt Rule.
Okay.
I was with Coach Rule.
Did Adazio ever go to Temple or not?
He did. Adazio went Florida to Temple and then to BC.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was Adazio? I heard he's crazy.
Yeah, he was crazy, man. I loved him though. He gave me a lot of confidence. He always told me I was going to be good. And once I showed him I could play, man, that freshman year, they brought me to all the. I traveled. I was the only freshman that traveled with the team, so I got to know some of those guys, and they showed me a lot of love.
Yeah, he's a Connecticut guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I say crazy too in a respectful way. I know a lot of people liked him, and he was a really good O-line coach, and he did a lot of really good things. What are some other coaches that impacted you, even in pros as we go from pros to college, or anybody that sticks out to you? You're like, yo, I love this guy.
Coach Lewis, for sure, tight end coach at Florida. Did you have him? Were you there?
I had D. Lou.
Yeah, D. Lou was crazy as shit. But
remember when he punched the hole in the whiteboard?
Yeah, he pushed me extremely hard, man. Extremely hard, and he made me a better player for sure.
Yeah.
That stands out the most for me, rookie year in the NFL was Sean McVay. He was my tight ends coach. So I got to be with him for a year, man. And the way he had me prepared and confident was, I could only have success out there. And I had a good.
Did you know that he was going to be like what he is now?
Yeah, I used to tell him all the time, like, man, you're gonna be one of the best coaches ever. For real. I used to tell him that. And then he became my OC, and he featured me in the offense and stuff like that. That's my guy, man. He was like my boy. He was just like a few years older than me. And he was my position coach. So we had a cool relationship, man. And then Wes Phillips came after him, and he took my skill set to the next level, man. He made me hone in on a lot of my stuff, and he made me a better player all around. So I had some great coaches, man. Jay Gruden was my guy. That's my guy, man. I love
Jay.
Him. Yeah. The list goes on, man.
Yeah, man. No, I played some great guys too. One of my favorites though was Brian Angelico, who you were with for a year.
Yeah, he was cool as hell. I didn't even get to spend much time with him, but he was he had great energy, man. He was on me about the small things and stuff like that. I wish I got a chance to play for him.
Bro, he showed all your tape to us, how to do different things. I'm just laughing. I'm like, no one's gonna do this. Yeah. Keep all your choice.
It was from training camp when he was there, or was it years before?
I think it could have been. He could have took some stuff, but it was mostly like
game stuff.
It was some game stuff, some practice stuff. So like you running stick nods, you running choice routes, you running.
I wonder if it was from that training camp that I had him as a coach, because if it was, my routes that year, that was my best training camp of my career. Yeah, I was on point. I was on point that year.
Why was that your best one?
I 2018 was a hard year. I came off 2 surgeries that year. 2017, I had both my sesamoid bones removed from my feet, from my toes. So that 2018 year, I came back, and it was probably too fast, too rushed. I needed a year, but I had that 6 months. I came back, and I ended up playing 13 games in a row. But I was slower. I wasn't the same athlete. You know what I mean? I'm missing bones in my feet. Couldn't stop as well, so I took a lot of big hits that year. A lot of concussions. I kept playing, but I had like 3 concussions that year, and I didn't report it. And then, so that 2019 off season, I just locked in, man. I was able to fully recover from the surgeries, and I got with my guy Daniel Karp, who really helped me, built me back up. And I was just in the zone, bro. I was just real focused. I was making good choices. I was spending my time right. And then when I got to that training camp, I was just hungry and ready to go. And it was one of my best training camps for sure.
What are some of your fondest memories looking back in your time in Washington? Because you had some great games.
Yeah.
You guys won some big games. You played with a bunch of different quarterbacks. What was that time? What was your time like there?
It was amazing, bro. It was amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. I had some great experience. The people out here, man, the fans out here, they're amazing, bro. So I loved every second of it, man. I would say my favorite year was definitely 2015, man. I had a good season. I was able to play, a lot of games in a row, and I played a lot of games that season. I broke some franchise records that year. Everything just was clicking for me, man. I was making the right choices on and off the field, so it paid off. And shit, I learned a lot from that time, and something I'll always remember for sure.
Who were your quarterbacks? You were with Robert and Kirk?
I was with RG3 my rookie year, and my second year, and then Kirk came in, I think, the end of my second year. Also had Colt McCoy. Dwayne Haskins. I had Dwayne Haskins, God rest his soul, my 2019. I had some good guys, man.
Talk about Kirk. He's turned himself into one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's like, I don't understand it. People always rag on him. The guy's super consistent. He's had success everywhere. Talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, he's Mr. Consistent, bro. He just goes out there, does his job. He's real accurate with the ball, throws a catchable ball. Has, command of the offense. I love playing with him, bro. He was the best quarterback I played with for sure.
Yeah, man. He was a stud.
Alex Smith too, man. Alex Smith, shout out to A. Smith.
Yeah, talk about Alex, man. I forgot you were with him.
Yeah, he's a soldier, bro. He's a straight soldier. Great dude.
What did he have to go through to get back? Holy cow.
Some crazy shit, bro. I remember when that I was out there that game that happened. It was crazy, and a couple weeks later, seeing them, and they're talking about cutting his leg off and all kind of crazy shit. Talking about he might not make it, you know what I mean? He might die and all this other stuff. So it was crazy to see him come back and play again. It's amazing, bro. He's a soldier. He's a soldier.
He is a soldier, man. I played with a couple of guys that got knocked out on the field. Guys with broken bones. I've seen bones, but I don't know, man. You see stuff like that, and personally, I'm like, man, I'm not thinking about stopping playing, but I think, why? What am I doing playing? Does that ever cross your mind? Man, these guys, I don't want that to happen to me, because that's serious shit, life threatening, like you just said.
Yeah, bro. It's a dangerous sport. We all go out there knowing what we're getting ourselves into. So it's just one of those things where stuff is happening real fast. And you standing on the sidelines and just seeing how fast guys are colliding, it's crazy sometimes. I'm just like, damn. Yeah. But not playing anymore, man, I miss it. Bro. I miss it.
What do you miss the most?
I miss the off season the most, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I miss the off season of getting prepared for the season, and just locking in and watching myself develop and get ready for training camp. And then miss those times driving down with the offense, and just getting to that goal line and being right there, and then knowing you're right there if you just keep fighting and you score is just it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, there's something about that too, especially when you're tired, right? Like
Exactly. It's that tired feeling, and it's like you see your boys, y'all all looking at each other in the face in the huddle. Everybody's got snot on their sweating. It is crazy in there, and then you score. That shit is a huge relief. It's the best.
Yeah. I'm trying to play as long as I can, man. As long as my body can hold up, trying to make it as long as you can, because this game is unbelievable. And you say about the offseason too, like there's something special about it. You get a little time to reflect on what just happened, because you don't really have time to reflect what just happened in season. You just got to go. Like there's no, and a lot happens. Players get traded. Our head coach got fired. C-Mac got traded. Like there's a lot happens here, and everyone really doesn't have time to process it. We've had success, but like after, I think there's going to be a little bit of a time after the season. Like, man, that was emotional. Like you losing core pieces of your team. Baker Mayfield gets cut, and he goes to LA. Like that's tough, bro. And that stuff happens. People have family members lose, God forbid, lose family members in season. Like you're committed, you're all in. So
it's a grind. It's definitely a grind, man.
It's the grind, man. It's a grind. All right, as we wrap things up here, we got the great Jordan Reed joining us. One of my favorite guys, man. I'm always like, people are talking, I'm like, nope, Jordan Reed, best route runner in the league.
Appreciate it.
When it comes to guys like coming up to you while you're playing, because that's like the ultimate sign of respect.
Yeah.
I try to go up to guys, they don't even know who I am, but I go up to guys like after games like Kittle, and like I'm like, dude, I have a ton of respect for you, and all these different tight ends and different players. Who are some of the coaches and some of the guys that come up to you over the years like, Jay Reed, you're balling, man, keep going?
I remember Mike Tomlin told me I was a beast, man. He told me I was a beast after we played them. I felt good to hear that come from him. A bunch of respect for him. Got some Tom Brady told me I was nice. We scrimmaged them before during training camp, and he told me I was a good player back then. I was in my second year in the league. He told me that. That was a huge confidence booster for me. But
there were two big ones, man.
Yeah, big ones right there. So
that's huge, man. Well, Jay Reed, we're gonna have to get together now, man. We're neighbors, Maryland, Virginia.
Right. Let's do it, man.
I appreciate you coming on, bro. It's great catching up.
Bro. Appreciate you having me, CT.
All right, man. Have a great holiday season, bro. Be safe.
Great work, baby. All love,
Thank you,
man.
man.
All right, man.